All right, Nick Kirby joined here by Mike Hart, special edition of Chatterbox Reds. We have some news, kind of news that we were probably anticipating and is a real possibility of happening on Monday. It happened really early, right away on Monday morning. News broke that Noelvi Marte has been optioned down to AAA, and the replacement is none other than Reese Hines. Let's just jump right into it. We'll skip the pleasantries today, so we'll keep it moving as we have a lot of Reds content up. But, Mike, let's start with Noelvi Marte. Obviously, Marte, it's been a struggle for him. 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 31 plate appearances, 0 extra base hits in the big leagues. Spring training, he did hit like 4 home runs, but struck out 16 times, only walked once in 56 plate appearances. For Noelvi Marte, his at-bats just did not feel, to me, very competitive right now. And it just felt very obvious that he just, at this point in time, is not one of the Reds' best options in the big leagues.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been a lot of people on Chatterbox talking about this. It also just felt like this wasn't the situation in which he'd been pigeonholed into in the big leagues was just not going to be conducive for him busting out of this slump. I don't think anyone here believes that this is the finished product of Noelvi Marte, but if we wanted to be able to get as much value from him that way, playing a couple times a week, maybe coming in as a pinch hitter every once in a while, wasn't going to break him out of this slump. So it makes sense that they're sending him down. Hopefully he's playing every day, getting more outfield reps, and hopefully he can bust out of this slump and take advantage of some AAA pitching.
Yeah, and I guess the curious conversation now is what exactly was the Reds' plan here? Like, it looks pretty bad in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe some people won't find this. I think it looks pretty bad to keep him up literally just for his bobblehead day on Saturday, and it's going to be hard to really defend the other side. Like, I don't know what you're going to defend it, but they leave him up through his bobblehead day on Saturday, and then he plays back-to-back games against a right-handed pitcher on Saturday and Sunday. And then they determine the next day he's not good enough to be in the big leagues. When you have a guy like Will Benson, who, again, I know is a polarizing player, but if he's on the roster and Noelvi Marte is not on the roster and you're facing a right-handed pitcher, I get maybe one of those pitchers. There was something about the matchup. Maybe you could make that argument, but both of them, and then you send him down. It just, to me, I just think the entire way they've handled Noelvi Marte this year, I just completely disagree with it. I felt like they felt obligated to put him on the big league roster because he did perform so well last year. But it felt like from the get-go, they didn't believe he was one of the best 26 players. And I think they completely butchered this.
Yeah, it's tough because the reality about this is the major league teams have much more information, data than the public do on specifically things like matchups, like all the way down to how well does certain player face changeups like this or like sliders like this. So, on to be like on in the best way possible, view them in the best light possible. Maybe there was something matchup wise that they're like, actually, we like the matchup here with Marte versus Benson. To not put it so generously, I think they were like, well, we're going to put him in here for the next 2 days, and this is going to be his last stand. Let's see if he can break out of it here. And if so, maybe we'll keep him around. Otherwise, we'll send him back down. And, maybe it wasn't that cut and dry, but like, I agree. It's just like, I don't know if we really set him up for success. Even 15, 16 games in, he just really didn't get very many opportunities. And boy, did he look lost in those opportunities. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't place as much blame as I think maybe you're looking to do there, but it's pretty hard to look at something like this and think, man, maybe we could have handled this a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm a guy that doesn't like to freak out or about early season losses because, like, it's early in the season, it happens. I do, however, find issue when you're not doing every single thing possible to win every single game, unless it's rest. Rest is a totally different animal. But if you're not putting out your best lineups every single game, I think you're doing a disservice. This is a team that made the playoffs last year on a tiebreaker. Like, every game matters for this team. And yes, I think the way that the games on Saturday and Sunday played out probably didn't matter who was starting, but they could have mattered. And that, to me, is the issue. We'll move on. The future for Noelvi Marte. Look, this guy's still only 24 years old. he did have a really solid year. I mean, a really surprising good year in the big leagues in 2025. Um, I think playing every day will help him. I think that Noelvi Marte probably has a chance at some point this season to help out this team. But barring injuries, it feels like he's going to be quite a ways away from getting back to the bigs. This doesn't feel like a demotion, at least to me, that, okay, he goes down for 2 weeks, he rakes, they call him right back up. I don't see that. It feels like, barring injuries, this is going to be a long return, especially when you factor in that you have J.J. Bleday, you even have Hector Rodriguez, you have Blake Dunn, all at AAA that have all performed pretty well to this point.
Yeah, I think you just really have to factor in the opportunities that are going to be afforded you at the big leagues as well. That's frankly the reason why Hines is there in AAA to start out with, right? It's just like it is difficult to be that bench bat, and sometimes it takes somebody like a Nathaniel Lowe who's been around the block a few times to be able to come in and execute at something like this. So I agree with you, barring an injury or just like uh, somebody else goes completely off a cliff that we may talk about later, that it's just like, yeah, I think it will be good for him to get reestablished, to work on that approach at the plate, not swing at everything, and hopefully build up some confidence to be able to support this team and help this team if he were to come back due to an injury of some sort. Just because it's just like it's hard to be that bench bat, it's hard to be productive in that with such few opportunities. And yeah, as a young player, it's not surprising to me that it's just not quite ready for that.
All right, let's shift gears to Reese Hines. Probably the reason we're all excited to, or at least me and you, I think. Reese Hines finally getting an opportunity back again in the big leagues. I was so impressed with his season in 2025 in the minor leagues. 2024 was a wild year because he performed very poorly at AAA, but he came up and had these 2 magical weeks of the big leagues. And I think people like viewed him like backwards. And then last year, it's like they didn't give him enough credit for what he did in AAA, I felt like. But just to kind of run through the numbers. So in 2025, it's 302, 921 OPS, 139 WRC plus in AAA. Spring training, he was incredible. 410 average, OPS over 1400. And then so far in AAA, hitting 354, OPS over 1200, 219 WRC plus. But one thing I've really liked is he's also walking in 20% of his plate appearances at AAA. So he's doing this damage while also having much better at bats. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and say that Reese Hines is this perfect product that is going to be this incredible swing decision guy. I think you're still going to see him make some very bad swing decisions, especially as he faces more difficult competition in the big leagues. But he's continued to make adjustments. And this, to me, is a very long overdue a chance in the big leagues again for Reese Hines, who's just on everything he could possibly do to force his way to the big leagues. And I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I think you highlighted exactly why I think they could be different this time, right? It's just like this isn't just a guy who's gotten hot. We've seen him get hot in the past, but the change in approach is really what makes me think that he has a chance to stick and not be that quad A player that just keeps going up and down based on injuries and things like that. Because if he can strike out less, this is what we wanted out of Marte. This is what we wanted out of CES. This is what we wanted out of all of these big prospects, Reese Hines. It's just like, hey, just, major league pitchers were just going to never pitch you hittable pitches because they don't have to. They know that you're going to chase it. So if he is able to establish that you must come in the zone in order to get me out, like then we get to see the power on display, right? We then get to see him hitting the ball all over the yard, hitting the ball out of the yard. So that aspect of it is what I really think is going to help him have a chance to stick. He still might not, right? AAA pitching different than major league pitching for sure. But it's I think that is what gives me hope that this Reese Hines could be different than the Reese Hines we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and the next conversation is going to kind of shift to, I guess, how is Reese Hines used? Because there's going to be a notion that, hey, he's a right-handed batter. Um, he's just going to be a platoon player. Him and Benson will straight platoon, and that'll be the end of it. I personally don't like that idea at all. I do think there is a misconception about Reese Hines, and there's a thought going on that he only hits left-handed pitching, or that there's thought that he has complete reverse splits, and which would make very weird to only play him against lefties. But I actually will dispute that a little bit. So he's 2 for 37 in the big leagues against left-handed pitching. Not great. He faced a lot of really good left-handed pitchers. It's also a pretty small sample. But the numbers in the minor leagues do not at all support that. So I'll just run through them all for you here. I don't have a way to add them all up together without doing a ton of work, which I'm not doing today. But 2025, he hit 301, 902 OPS against lefties, 299, 927 against righties. So pretty much about similar stats. 2024, he hit 254 with a 784 OPS against lefties, hit 186 with a 599 OPS against right-handed pitching in 2024. And if you go down further than that, 2023 all minor leagues, 290 average, 876 OPS against lefties, 263 average, 863 against righties. And then it gets even crazier. 2022, 832 OPS against lefties, 707 against righties. 2021, 894, 869 against righties. So I do think, though, Reese Hines is not like this one-sided guy, like Blake Dunn is a guy that pretty much most of his value is going to come against hitting, pretty much all his value is going to come against hitting lefties. Or Reese Hines, I think, should be able to profile to be able to hit both, but I do think he probably will be a guy that hits left-handed pitching better. Do you kind of agree that the 37 at-bats is a really unfair sample to him?
Yeah, it is small sample, and like you said, there was just some nasty lefties that he faced. That being said, his first game is probably going to be against Robbie Ray. So let's hope that he proves can buck that small sample size. But yeah, I think I agree. What really stuck out to me is just like how close the splits were for righties and lefties last year. It's just like if we're going to talk about playing time you know situations, a guy that is smoking hot that frankly doesn't show much of a difference in the minors between left and righties, like that makes me feel like, hey, let's get this guy in the lineup every day. Now, the logistical issues that would be required in order for that to happen, I don't know if Tito is willing to do. I was talking with some people on the Discord of like what my ideal platoon outfields would be, and I got a lot of but no way Tito does that type thing. But yeah, I do think that he will be able to produce against lefties, and then as well be able to hold himself up and do well again as well against righties. So it's just like I think that this guy, if like we really want to get all the juice out of the orange to ride this hot streak, like get any marginal value that we possibly can, I think we should be putting him in the lineup and just keeping him in the lineup until something happens that would tell us otherwise. It's just like let's get him in there and see how he does. Kind of toss him in there with with the lineup to try to get any value out of this hot streak that he has right now to help this team.
Yeah, I think maybe there's a compromise that would work here, where maybe like he and Steer split time against righties. But if he's only caught up against lefties, I mean, it's literally Robbie Ray on Tuesday, and then it's righty, 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 righty. I don't know. I have to look through the Tampa Bay's first guy. Is he a righty? He is a righty, so that's like 6 straight right-handed pitching, which I just don't think that's going to do any good for Reese Hines.
Yeah.
So for me, like again, like Hines defensively, I haven't watched every single AAA defensive opportunity for Reese Hines, but from my watching of him in the past, he's kind of a Will Benson type fielder where he'll make some incredible plays, but also will make some mistakes out there. But he's like a lot faster than I think people probably realize. Like he ranked 98th in sprint speed last year, 92nd in 2024 in a limited time. But I mean, he's very fast. He also has a great ability to rob some home runs. He's done that in the minor leagues. So I do think he would be a better defender than Spencer Steer. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be a perfect defender, but to me, it seems like number one, like Will Benson, if he's going to be up on the big leagues, he needs to play just about every day against right-handed pitching, or he's never going to get into any sort of groove and provide any value. If you're not going to use him in that way, then call up JJ Bleday, in my opinion. That's kind of how I would view it. And then I just don't think Steer's done enough to me to warrant playing every day against right-handed pitching. He provides negative defensive value out the outfield. He hasn't hit right-handed pitching at all, and it just seems like it would also just put Hines in a bad spot. So that's maybe my best hope is that they just split time. I don't see Steer getting completely benched against righties, so I'm not even going to really even ask for that.
Yeah, man, what you just read that schedule to me, and that just made my heart sink. It's like Reese Hines is gonna get 5 at bats this week, is what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
unless he plays over Benson.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that's the case. But it's just like that's tough. Maybe I don't know. I like to have hope that because of why they sent him down, be like, hey, we want him to get every day at bats. Because of that, would maybe give us a window into why they were potentially bringing him up as well, right? Well, we saw the success that we saw with every day at bats. We want that for this guy. We're going to bring him up and give him every day at bats. And maybe the switcheroo is with Benson and Steer instead of Hines and Steer or whatever it is. And maybe that's giving Friedel days off against lefties or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe that's too optimistic for me. It's just like I don't think they would call this guy up to just sit him on the bench for the rest of the week after this lefty. Now, we've been proven wrong in the past, but I'm just really hoping that because of that he's able to come up and be at least somebody that is given a fair shot up there. Because it's just like I don't want to set him down in 2 weeks after he got 10 at bats, struck out 4 times on a bunch of really nasty lefties, and it's just like, well, it's like, did we even what did we do there? We didn't even give him a fair shot and probably hurt his development. So
that's exactly what happened last year.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
exactly.
literally just a platoon, couple spot starts. Yeah, this guy stinks, send him back down.
I think he could really help his stock if he were to I know this sounds bad, but just like if he hits a homer tonight, it's like, hey, at least he gives somebody in the front office something to hang on. Is like, okay, yeah, all right, he's, let's keep this going. It's not, I would like an 0-for-4 with 3 strikeouts would be just disastrous tonight. I don't think that is necessarily representative of what Reese Hines is as a player now. But I also see going up against Robbie Ray, who strikes out 10 per 9. Like, that's a very reasonable stat line that we could see out of Reese Hines. So, I just, sometimes you need a little luck in this type of thing, right? It's like you're given your opportunity. Let's hope that he's able to do something with it.
Very, very deja vu to Will Benson last year against the Giants as well. I got shipped across the country, went 0-for-4 with 4 strikeouts against Justin Verlander was the starter, and that got sent right back down. So, yeah, definitely triggered from that. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see Reese Hines. I hope they give him at minimum, at least, start every day against lefties, start about 50% against righties, give him a chance to perform. And he has a chance to get really hot in the big leagues. Like, he's a guy that legitimately could get really hot and carry this team for a couple weeks. And hopefully guys like Friedel, guys like Benson Steer, guys like Stevenson, Brian Hayes, Matt McLean, like they could maybe get a little closer to kind of what you're expecting of them. And he just could really be a shot in the arm for this offense. So that's my kind of final takeaway. Any final thoughts, Mike?
No, just excited to see what he's able to do on Tuesday. And hopefully we get contribution right away, because boy, this Reds offense needs it.
All right. Well, as always, thank you for tuning in today to Chatterbox Reds. We really do appreciate all of your support. We do want to quickly remind you, we're sponsored by Sharefax Credit Union. You can check them out at sharefax.org. Also, QC Kinetix. You can find them at qckinetix.com. 78 Cigars, Anthony Munoz's new venture. Really cool cases for this. You should check this out. 78 Cigars. You can find that at anthonymunoz.com. As always, you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. Always there for help for you. And then we're also partnered with Homage. You can get 20% off all the great stuff at Homage. You just go to homage.com/chatterbox. Link to that is in the episode notes and everything below. And then use our code CHATTER. Just follow the instructions there. So, all right. Well, that's all for today. We will talk again soon. There'll be a brand new episode of Chatterbox Reds dropping on Tuesday morning. Austin Layton and Hunter Hurst are going to talk about kind of where things stand with the Reds, preview the Giants series. So continue to have you covered here on Chatterbox Reds. Have a great day. Go Reds.